Officer James Sabota. It's a pleasure to serve as your citywide PIP coordinator. On behalf of the Houston Police Department, the command staff, and every man and woman on this department, we'd like to welcome you. The attending members, we have almost a full house here. We'd like to remind everybody, if you could turn your cell phones off. If you need to take a call, please step out in the hallways and take it. We have a very full agenda with a lot of great information today. If you have a divisional concern, please get with us after the meeting. We will address that. We will find the right, your commander and the staff at that station to address your divisional concern. With that, welcome, Joan. Joan Bouchard is a citywide PIP boss.
Hey, thank you. I'll give myself a hand. Okay, that's good. Welcome, and we now have, we're gonna make a new name tonight, the Chief Citywide PIP Team. That's what all of you are. How's that? And we're thrilled to have you here. And also, your membership and participation are an asset to all of the communities. And as members, we will all accomplish our goal, which is helping to reduce crime. This citywide PIP meeting is also live streamed for community members who cannot attend this evening in person. As some of the nation's police departments have been the focus, as usual, we here, and it's all good, we are here in Houston proudly having in place the Positive Interaction Program, known as PIP, to promote a positive relationship with every member of the community. It is you and your community who can take credit for the PIP's program success. At these citywide PIP meetings, the goal is to provide the attending members proactive information in which you can benefit and share with your communities. I would like to point out the side over there, and the first person sitting there from the tax collector's office, Bennett, is Freddie Gomez. Right there is Freddie. You can visit after we finish with our meeting. It's very informational over there. Then the environmental investigative group is Morgan Gilliland. And I had a name. There's another gentleman with her, and I don't have your name. Okay, did you both wave? Good, okay. And Victim Services is Oscar Lee, right in the corner over there. So you can have a visitation when we finish our meeting. And now I'm going to ask Chaplain Sergeant Vince Johnson, if you would.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this moment to gather together as family, as friends, as co-workers, and as community. We ask that you bless this meal that we are receiving. Let it be nourishment for our bodies. And we ask that something be done and said this evening to encourage, inspire, and also educate. Again, we thank you for your grace and we thank you for your mercy. And we ask that you just continue to watch over all first responders in the great state of Texas, especially in the city of Houston. We thank you for this relationship and partnership that we have with our community, and we ask that you just continue to bless this meeting and let it continue to grow. And when we leave from this particular building, we also pray for traveling grace when we return back to our various destinations. It is in your Son's precious name that we pray and give thanks. Would everyone say amen? Amen. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anybody new on this side of the room? Never before have you been to a meeting here. Have you all been to a meeting here? That side?
Not here.
Not, oh, okay. On that side. Okay, you have to stand up, give us your name, serial number, and everything else. Only kidding. And tell us what division you're from, if you know, or what area you live in. Go ahead. Oh, here, okay. Can you? Okay.
My name is Larry, and my name is Jenny, and we live close to Jerry Village? Jersey Village, sorry. So we live close by that area.
Okay.
And that's part of the deaf pit.
Yes, that I understand. Okay. Next.
I'm Erica, and I'm from Greenspoint.
Okay.
And I'm John, I'm from Dallas, Texas, so I'm a little out of the area.
Oh, okay, welcome. That's a big one, okay. Go ahead.
My name is Jesus Gonzalez Jr. I'm a newly elected president of Oak Meadows Civic Club.
Okay, thank you. And?
My name is Abhay Joseph, and I'm Southwest Division.
Sir?
Hi, my name is Brian Pendleton. I work for Commissioner Leslie Briones in Precinct 4, and I've been to several PIP meetings, and thank you for the invite.
Thank you. Welcome to all of you. Anybody? No, wait, there's one more, okay.
Gary Zimmerman, we live in Linkwood, we're Southwest District, and my first meeting at this building, but I've been to plenty of pit meetings.
Anyone else? Did we catch everybody? Please make sure you sign in on the sheets that are as you walk in that area, back of the room, and name and wherever we can contact you, so you could be welcome back again. Thank you for being here. We have a brief announcement from, how does he say his first name so I don't miss this? Keith?
Keith Smith.
Okay, Keith Smith. This is Police Administrator with the Houston Police Department's Office of Community Affairs. And I'm going to leave you the microphone.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry I didn't get your name correct.
Oh, you got it plenty correct.
Oh, okay.
I answer with a name like Keith, you got to answer to everything. So, I want to talk to you briefly about the Gun Safe campaign that you've probably heard of. Lord knows you folks, by being here, are very, very involved with your PIPs, and your poor PIP officers or coordinators really got hammered because on our end, we didn't do a really good job of communicating to them and to you. So that's what I'm here to explain. Quick backstory. You're probably aware guns have been stolen from vehicles at an increasing rate. We had about 3,700 2 years ago, 4,400 last year, and we're at almost 1,000 already for this year. So we've been doing in community fairs education campaigns, presentations, PTA meetings, social media videos, you name it, we've been doing it, and we're still seeing the numbers rise. So, working with the District Attorney's Office, Councilmember Pollard, HPD, other parts of the city of Houston, we started working on this Gun Safe campaign. What these are, and I meant to bring one and I apologize, they're about $25 off Amazon. And you can put your gun in it, it loops to your vehicle with a cable, and if you're going to leave your gun in your car, which we ask that you do not do, at least this is a more secure method than leaving it in your console, tucked under your seat, in your glove box. We announced it at a joint partnership gun safety news conference, and it exploded to the point that Academy that we're getting them from actually had a run on the gun safes, and they don't have any here in Houston. Now, which brings me to the second part. They're shipping in more. We're getting additional funding through management districts. And once we get those in, get them branded, we will be distributing them to your PIP officers, who will then contact you to let you know when and where they have them and how you can come get them at a PIP meeting. There's an education component because we want you to know how to use them and why this is so important, but that probably won't happen until early this summer. So your PIP folks are aware. They really want to get them in your hands, but they don't have them yet. And it's going to be first come, first served, one per household. I know they've already been getting phone calls. I need 5, I need 4, I need 1. Like, guys, it's a finite number. We just want to get them in your hands, show you how they work. It's a small investment after that. If you have a several $100 gun, this is a $25 investment to keep it yours and not in the hands of someone who, by definition, when they take it, is a criminal, right? So hold on to your property. We're just trying to help you with that, but that's where it comes from. Your PIP folks will be reaching out to you, but they don't have them yet. I'm available all night, so if you have any questions, just come see me, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, we have the department's Crime Analysis Division, Citywide Crime Analysis Report, and Division Manager Jim Millard. Mr. Millard. We're being very formal this evening.
Yes. It's Mallard like a duck. Thanks, Joan. I appreciate it. Thanks. Good evening, everyone. As Joan said, I'm going to give you a citywide crime summary. This is just an overview of kind of what's going on citywide. I want to give you a couple caveats. First of all, it's preliminary data. This data usually lags because we want to verify and validate it before we submit it to the state. So it's preliminary information, and it's through February 28th. So as things were just a couple weeks ago, I wanted to provide a current snapshot of what's going on. Overall, we're doing pretty well. We're down 8% total, and in violent crime, we're down 16%. Happy to report significant decreases across the board in violent crime, especially in our homicide or murder category. That's a big deal, and it's been in the news a lot, and it's great news. In homicides and robberies, sex assaults, and aggravated assaults, 500 incidents down this year, this time last year. Nonviolent crime, good decreases. We are seeing increases in auto theft and burglary buildings, but overall, as I mentioned, down 8%. So we're doing really, really well. So that's the crime summary. I wanted to cover a couple other things really briefly. Some ways that you can stay informed about information that we present on our public-facing website, which is houstontx.gov/police. There's a link for crime statistics, and if you click on that link, you'll get a variety of pages. One of them, if you like to dig into data and you like Excel, we provide the raw data. So you can go here, download the data, and do whatever you want with it. We provide several years worth of data. And that page tells you everything you need to know about how to work with that information. Another thing we have out there is the community crime map. If you're more of a visual person, you like to see it on a map, we have the community crime map available for you. And this data is updated every day. You'll see last upload date was yesterday, and we have about 1.4 million records dating back to 2015. So Community Crime Map's been around for a while. One of the things I really like about this, if you go to the Community Crime Map, there's a little bell icon, it's an alert. You can set up subscriptions to be notified when things happen around you. So you can put in an address and say, I want to know everything within a 1 mile radius of my house, and you can pick the crime types if you only want serious crimes or whatever. And you can be informed about what's going on in your area. Community Crime Map's a great way to do that. Another thing I wanted to draw your attention to, just below that crime statistics link is another link called Transparency. And on that page, we have some different reports. At the very bottom, if you click on Reports, you'll see a report that we publish every month called the Monthly Operational Summary. And this has some really good information about the department as a whole. Information about our personnel, commendations, complaint information, how we respond to calls for service, and then at the bottom each month, the crime statistics that we publish to the state. So this is called the Monthly Operational Summary, and it's a great way to be informed on a regular basis. So those are just some things I wanted to point out Does anyone have any questions? No? Yes?
So I was wondering, with that report, with all of the numbers that's on there, does it match with the TV news? With the TV news, it tends to show something that's outrageous, and they're like, oh my God, the crime is so high, but do they really follow up with the news and say, hey, calm down, that's not the real numbers? Or how does that work?
Keith, would you like to address that one? Oh, sorry, Chief Slinkard.
I'll address it when I come up.
Okay, Chief Slinkard will speak to that. Yep. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it.
And we will have Chief Slinkard in place of Chief Finner this evening. And you have a whole bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Oh, I do this all the time when I'm here. That was horrible. Do it again. Let's go. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. All right, much better. Now we sound like we're awake. But I'm very excited to see this number here during spring break. And so I guess we're the ones that didn't get to go off on vacation somewhere, right? We all stayed close to home or working during spring break, but we're very happy to spend this evening with you. I know that we have a large program, and when I get to questions in a few minutes, I'm going to start with yours, okay? All right, so just a couple introductory comments. You know, I heard a few things when we started from members that are out there or people who have been here for the first time or maybe in this building for the first time. And so I thought it might be, informative for you because you're sitting right here in these chairs between these two walls. If you look to your right and you look to your left, and it's your first time in this building, you may not realize that all those pictures that you see to your right and your left are those men and women of the Houston Police Department who have at some point paid the ultimate sacrifice and died in the line of duty for this city. And I think it's very important that we recognize that and we remember that. And maybe you could come in this building a lot for meetings and sit between these portraits here and maybe not realize that. And you know, we're here to honor you as a community, and we're also here every day doing what we do to honor these men and women on this wall who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for this city and given up their life. And so I think it's important to remember that. And you might be sitting here and not even realize it. I also want to start off by, talking about, Joan mentions this a lot, about our city and talks about the Positive Interaction Program and how it's unique to a lot of parts throughout the nation and definitely unique in the state of Texas, et cetera. And people reach out to us all the time about how to start PIP programs in a citywide and at the divisional level. And our city has grown and grown and grown, right? Nearly 700 square miles. Where's John? John, I'm sorry, but we're not going to patrol all the way up to Dallas. So John, I appreciate you being here. And I'm so glad that our neighbors to the north are joining us, but we're going to stop right about the Montgomery County line on the north side, okay? So I do know Eddie Garcia, the chief up in Dallas. I can give Eddie a call, tell him to look out for you, but I don't think we're going that far. Okay? But thank you for being here, John. Really appreciate that. I also heard the chaplain say something, and chaplain, where are you? He probably had to run. Okay. Oh, there he is. There he is. All right. Chaplain, I heard you say something tonight that resonated with me, and I thought it was worth mentioning because I've heard you say it before. You said, let something be said tonight that would encourage, inspire, or educate. And, I think that's important for us to remember because, I hope numerous things are said that will encourage, inspire, and educate, which is what this forum is about. But I think it's important to remember that we also have to be open and be willing to be encouraged. And we have to be open and be willing to be inspired, and we have to be open and be willing to be educated. But oftentimes when we come together, right, to talk about crime or problems in our neighborhood, then sometimes it's hard to come in the right frame of mind, right? A frame of mind to talk about, what's going on that's good, what can we do as a community to get even better. And so sometimes we have to be open to be encouraged, inspired, and educate. And so thanks for reminding us of that, Chaplain. I appreciate that very much. Let me move on to Jim's comments. Thank you, Jim, very much. And I saw Director Cummins here, our Director of Planning and Data Governance. Wave your hand, Melissa. Does an amazing job. And Jim as well with our crime stats. And those are encouraging and those are very positive. And we should take a pause for a second and think about where we are for 2023 thus far as we kind of end this first quarter. As you all know, and we've talked about many times, 2020, 2021, the pandemic, coming out of the pandemic, even 2022, we have struggled to get back to pre-pandemic crime numbers in our city and in every major city in America, especially as it relates to violent crime. And as you know, we had talked extensively throughout the community over the last couple of years about the rising violent crime rate that was not unique to Houston, that was happening everywhere. Very pleased to see those numbers that we see up there. An overall decrease in violent crime like that, an overall decrease in property crime, and we're talking 25 to 30% and beyond decrease in homicides. That is substantial, right? That is substantial. Still not enough. We should never sit back and be satisfied, right? But I want to say this, and I want you to understand this as community members, and when you go to your divisional PIPs, I want you to understand that we understand. I don't want to ever come up here when we have violent crime numbers that are down double digits in almost every category, and we have property crime numbers that are down, and we're all trending in the right direction and crime is going down. That's not a time for any of us just to do a victory lap. We need to recognize that. We need to recognize the improvements that have been made, but then we need to keep working to keep driving that crime down and not rest. Because here's the reality. When you're in your neighborhood and you are at your divisional PIP meeting, even crime in your area, in your neighborhood, whether it be robberies or burglaries or assaults, these crime numbers for the overall city might show that those categories are going down and going down substantially. But if that's happened on your street, or if just one has happened where you or someone you love or care about has been the victim, it doesn't feel like it's going down to you. And we recognize that. We understand that. And so we will never lose that focus that we have to be really dedicated to making sure that we are responsive to each community's needs. And so when you have those crime discussions that you need to have and you have those concerns about your community, please utilize those divisional PIP meetings. Those are the places for you to go and really get into the details of issues that are happening in your area when your commander is there. And then when we come together as a citywide PIP like this, it's a great opportunity to educate ourselves on some larger issues or programs, etc., give crime summaries. But please understand, I know that flashing some crime summary data up here for you does not necessarily answer all of the questions that you might have about crime on a more granular level at the neighborhood. And I understand that and I get that. So make sure that you're utilizing those smaller groups and those divisional PIP meetings to get those questions answered that you have, and all of our commanders obviously will be very responsive to that. Lastly, before I go to a few questions, the crime numbers, you've seen them, they speak for themselves. I think some good things are happening, but a lot still to do. We have a lot of things happening in our city over the next few years, things that you as a community should be aware of. Right here in just a couple of weeks, we're hosting the NCAA Final Four. If you're keeping up with basketball and our U of H Cougs, right? Okay, you don't seem excited. Let's get a little more excited about the Cougs, right? All right, go Cougs. So it just so happens, right, Cougs are doing pretty well and ranked very, very, very high. I think bouncing back and forth, right, between 1 and 2. And so doing phenomenal, and we support them, and we're about to host the NCAA Final Four here in just a couple of weeks in Houston. And so the city is looking forward to that. This will be our third time in recent history to do that. We did it in 2011, 2016, and now again in 2023. If you didn't know, next year in 2024, we're holding the National Football College Championship game in Houston as well. That's in 2024. And then we're already looking forward to, as you have seen over the last year and was announced many months ago, that we will be hosting the World Cup in 2026. Now, to put that in perspective, you remember when we did a little thing called Super Bowl in 2017. and then in 2004, right? And there was a third Super Bowl in Houston. It was in the 70s. Do y'all remember that? Rice Stadium. Where were you at? Who said Rice? Raise your hand. Yep, Rice Stadium. Rice Stadium. There's some extra candy in the back if you know who the teams were that played. I knew it one time, but I forgot. It was the Vikings. It was Vikings and Dolphins, I think. It was Vikings and Dolphins, but I don't remember who won, right? But most people forget. They know we had a Super Bowl in 2004. They know that we had one in 2017. They forget that we had one in the 1970s in Rice Stadium. So a little bit of history, but hopefully they'll come back again soon. But when I say Super Bowl, right, big event for our city. We know how busy that was in 2017, as well as a World Series and as well as that tragedy we call Hurricane Harvey. However, a Super Bowl is about a 10-day operational period for us and a lot of work to do. The World Cup in 2026 will be a 35-day operational period, right? If you just finished watching the World Cup, right, a few months ago, you know that every time you turned on your TV, it seemed like that lasted a long, long time. Every time you turned on, there was another match going on. And so we're excited about that. 2026 will be great for our city. So some big events happening, a lot of crime fighting going on. We're aggressively engaged in hiring, and we appreciate the mayor and city council for their support in allowing us to hire aggressively to keep up with the retirements that we have in the agency. And hopefully, right, in the near future, we'll reach a period of growth. But we are a department that has had a substantial number of retirements over the last couple of years. Speaking of that, I want to take this moment, especially for those watching at home or anywhere, talking about retirements. I want to talk about just 3 that had retirement celebrations in this building this week that I think it's worth mentioning. And if you've been to any of our ceremonies over the last many years, if you've been to any of our Police Week events, if you've been to anything throughout this city and seen our Honor Guard, who does an amazing job, this week Sergeant Jim Armstrong of the Honor Guard and Officer Gene Seeley of the Honor Guard both had their retirement celebrations in this building, and it was a pleasure to honor them, and each one of them 40 years of service for the Houston Police Department. And to top that, in the building right next door upstairs, we had a retirement party on the same day, same time for Senior Police Officer Sam Rockefort, 45 years of service. And that's a legacy of service that is very rarely matched. And so, between them, right, 120 something years, right, of service for the city of Houston and the Houston Police Department. And so just wanted to honor them for how much they've honored us over these many years and decades. And that story is not unique to them, right? I could mention many up here that are moving on and retiring, and a well-earned retirement because they've been dedicated public servants for this city for a long time. Now, having said that, I want to move to questions, but I'm going to go ahead and I'll take just a few because we have a very long program if we have any. But I want to start with the one, does the crime stats that we are showing match what the media is reporting on? Well, no, not always. Okay? So let's just be very transparent about that. However, I will say, right, that a short media program is not going to usually dive into multiple categories of crime, the statistics that are contained in a very robust spreadsheet. A lot of times the media is going to focus on giving the highlights of a couple of the most newsworthy events of the day. Now, sadly enough, and I think this is a societal issue in general, sadly enough, those things that are most newsworthy are not oftentimes the wonderful stories about the better sides of humanity, but oftentimes what makes the news, unfortunately, is maybe a little bit of an unfair ratio of those things that show the worst of humanity. And so I don't think that a news report, while likely accurate and likely if giving you information on a robbery or a homicide or a carjacking or something that's alarming to the public, there's a reason for it, and it's to educate and to make people aware and to send out a cautionary tale, if you will, of something that occurred, right, in our city. And we have good relationships with our media partners. We don't always agree, and that's to be expected. However, I don't think that a short media cycle or a short media excerpt can capture truly crime statistics and what they really mean for America's fourth largest city, reaching nearly 700 square miles. So I would say, no, they don't always match. But in fairness, they have a job to do in a short time to do it. Okay? All right. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So the statistics that was given, that's based upon reports
Mm-hmm.
that you guys have. So do you guys have anything to do with the HEC?
Emergency center, you know, where 911 callers go.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So what I understand, that's kind of got a backup, and can you explain kind of like what y'all's interaction with the HEC center is?
Sure, and I'll even refer to the report that you're talking about, okay? That was mentioned, I think, this week about 911 calls, etc. Talking about, because when you say backup at HEC doesn't investigate crimes or anything, right? So the HEC Center, right, the Houston Emergency Center over on North Shepherd, which was really stood up in about 2005. The Houston Emergency Center, no, they don't belong to the Houston Police Department, not a division within the Houston Police Department. They're an independent unit entity, right, that was created in 2005 that really consolidated police, fire, EMS, and police dispatching, right? And in a bigger concept, the HEC Center is what we call a PSAP in the United States of America. That's a public safety answering point. Many PSAPs throughout the United States, right, where 911 calls come in. And the HEC Center houses numerous employees. The HEC Center houses employees that are 911, right, operators, call takers that come in, and then eventually it's, do you need police, fire, or EMS, and then that call is sent to the respective agency that would dispatch that, us being one of those, right? Houston Police Department dispatchers working within the HEC Center. Now, one of the things that was mentioned in the news this week was that 911 calls, there might be a backup on getting 911 calls. Well, we're working through that issue. I don't know the size of that backup as it exists today, but what they're referring to is not a backup of calls or being able to answer 911 calls for service. What they're referring to is 911 call recordings for a case file for a case that goes to court. Meaning I'm going to court, I have a stack of evidence, but part of the evidence that I need in that case is the original 911 calls and recordings that came in. And that needs to be digitally copied and part of that investigation and case. So we're working through issues with our partners in the criminal justice system here in Harris County, to include the DA's office, to include the HEC Center, on how we can in the future make those calls more digitally accessible so that we can have those for case files and ready for prosecution attorneys, defense attorneys, etc. And so that's what that was referring to, a backup at HEC. As far as 911 calls coming in, that's not what they meant as part of that report.
I understand that's not what that particular report was referring to, and
Yeah.
I agree with your interpretation of what that article was about, but I have heard
About the actual calling, you know, trying to get a hold of someone at HEC.
Okay.
In terms of, you know, the citizen calling.
We'll be happy to follow up, but when somebody's calling 911, there is somebody answering that call. It's not a busy tone. It's none of that. When you're calling for police service and you're calling HEC, you're in essence calling through a 911 that would ultimately get dispatched. Now, a backup on getting officers dispatched to a location, meaning I call, but here's a response time from the call to the time officers go to location, or the time paramedics go to the location if it's fire or EMS. Sure, there's backups that can occur there. That has a lot to do with everything, right? Call volume, time of day, staffing, etc. And so we mitigate and work through those to make sure that we try to keep our response times manageable and at a level that we would all expect, right, with a level of service. I'm not sure if I'm hitting on what you're talking about as regard to backup, but be happy to get together with you offline and talk more about what it is about HEC that you'd like to find out. In fact, at any given time, we can also have a representative from HEC come to one of these meetings as well. Because they do represent the PSAP, like I said, the public safety answering point for Houston, Harris County. Any other questions? Anything else? Okay, fantastic. I will turn this back over to Joan so she can continue with the presentation. And thank you so much for your involvement. Thank you for being here this evening. We appreciate you.
Our featured presentation this evening is what to do if my vehicle becomes stranded in Houston. And my answer to that is, Houston, we have a problem. It should be me, I have the problem if that happens. Anyway, Lieutenant Lewis Parker, who was assigned to HPD's Auto Theft Division, Auto Dealers Detail, and the Houston TranStar are going to do the presentation. So, okay, everybody, line up. It's yours.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for having us out here on this evening to discuss this very important topic. We only have a few minutes, so we're going to get through it. I actually had a joke to start off with, but it probably wasn't a good one anyway, so we'll just go ahead and dive into it. I'm Lewis Parker, lieutenant with the Auto Dealers Detail. The Auto Dealers Detail fall under the Auto Theft Division, which Commander Dana Hitzman is the commander of that division. I'm also here tonight joined with Sergeant Lisa Cruz, who will go over the tow and go portion of our presentation this evening. And also we have a TranStar unit, which we recently began over at the TranStar building. And Sergeant Nicole Madrano is here with us this evening as well. And also we have Sergeant David Balderas, who's the guru on private property tows. So what are we going to talk about tonight? The theme, what to do. What to do if I get stranded in Houston. And this happens all the time, whether you get stranded on a freeway or in off a freeway somewhere. People get stranded, vehicles break down, and so it's important to know what to do in these situations. But first, let us start off with why auto dealers, and what do we do? So what we do is regulate salespersons within the city of Houston as well as the automotive industry. We also dispose of vehicles that are abandoned at vehicle storage facilities, and we administer the contracts between the city of Houston as well as and the towing companies and vehicle storage facilities. The reason why we're in business, the reason why we do what we do is it ultimately falls back to public safety. To make sure that the public is protected from deceptive businesses practices, to make sure that people are protected on the roadways. For example, I mentioned the tow and go program earlier. That's something that's administered, it's coordinated by Auto Dealers Detail on behalf of the Houston Galveston Area Council. And the reason why that's so important, because there are so many fatalities that happen annually on Texas roadways. I was able to pull up numbers from 2021, and on that year, or 2022 rather, on that year, 4,040 fatalities, and this is reported by the crash, what's it called, the information system, CRIS. The crash information system. And the reason why that's important, because I do need to say that the information may modify a little bit once all of the records get there, because it's based on the crash report that's given by officers. But based on that year, 4,040 fatalities on the roadway. And I was able to pull it up by county, because in Harris County is the largest county that the towing program in our area runs. And so Harris County was made up of 539 of those fatalities, which is a very significant percentage. This year alone, we're at 503, of which 71 is from this region. And so these things happen. And a lot of times when these fatalities happen on roadways, sometimes there are multiple vehicle accidents. Sometimes there are secondary accidents where people are trying to avoid an initial collision, but they crash, based on trying to avoid that one. And so these things happen. So that's one reason why we're here to regulate that. Here is how we do some of our regulations. So we have the police private storage lot agreements. These are agreements, these are contracts really with the vehicle storage facility. And they include things like what type of insurance or the amount of insurance and bonds to have. Also, we regulate the towing companies through the PAPSA contracts, police authorized tow service agreements. And these agreements include things like what type of equipment to have, what to do and what not to do. Don't solicit on scenes, for example. If you're on a scene and a record driver soliciting business, that's a no-no. And so that's one way that we regulate the automotive industry. Also through inspections, this is something that our officers are doing almost every day. Inspecting businesses, not just vehicle storage facilities, but retail supply dealers, parking lots. There are so many different businesses that's regulated by the auto dealer's detail. Agreement revocation, license revocation. If people are violating rules, we could take them before the auto board and have their license suspended or terminated. There are various types of tows to be familiar with. One is a consent tow. That's basically when the owner or operator of the vehicle called their own towing service before the arrival of a law enforcement officer. What we do at HPD is non-consent tows. That's what we regulate, and basically that, say incident management tow is an example. A crash on a freeway that gets moved is an example of a non-consent tow. I mentioned the various types of licenses, but here are examples. Incident management license. These are what the tow company drivers should be carrying. You also have private property license. This license allows them to operate only from private property scenes. And then you have the tow and go. Sergeant Cruz, in a few minutes, will talk about the tow and go program. The record medallions, they are divided by zones. And so this is an example of incident management with the P, private property. And also, it's important for me to mention this because this is how people are taken advantage of frequently, is through what is known as flipping. So whenever officers arrive to scene, they will complete tow slips, which is a record of the vehicle being towed. Now, a lot of times sometimes tow drivers will have people fill out additional paperwork. Why? Because people are emotional after a crash, right? And so they'll fill out this paperwork not knowing completely what they're filling out. And essentially what the citizen has given up his or her right to have their vehicle towed to where they want the vehicle towed to, or to a regulated facility. They'll end up getting it towed to a facility that's working with the tow driver, and the tow driver often get a lot of kickback based on that. So you have to be careful about that and watch what you sign on the scene. And so that's just a little bit. If you come out and say, "Where's my vehicle going?" Here is where you could go. Find my towed car. And also, if your vehicle is towed unlawfully, there is a process for that too. Where you could take it to a tow hearing. We'll take questions at the end. I'll pass it over to Sergeant Cruz right now. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Cruz. As Lieutenant Parker said, I'm a sergeant with the Houston Police Department Auto Dealers Detail. I've been there since 2014. Prior to that, I was the community service sergeant at the East End division, so I see a lot of friendly faces. I served on a committee with Joan and Ben, so even though I'm nervous, it feels like home because I see y'all all smiling at me. So the Tow and Go program, why? Because of all of y'all. Lives. We want to save lives. And what? It's a federally funded program that is ran by the Houston-Galveston Area Council. The funding comes from the Transportation Administration and also the TxDOT. And we do have a representative of TxDOT that I'll also be speaking with this evening. But we got federal funding for this program back in 2018, May. And prior to that being called the Tow and Go program, y'all might all remember the old Safe Clear program. That was in the mid-2000s where the city actually paid for the funding to get the disabled vehicles off the freeway. And then for a time, there was no funding, and it was up to the citizen to get themselves off the freeway. So we were very excited to get funding back for this program. Basically, it is the freeways proper, so on the freeways, curb line to curb line, or also if you're entering the freeway or exiting the freeway and your vehicle becomes disabled, whether that's a flat tire, it becomes overheated, you don't have any gas left. We saw that about a year, 2 years ago, highly. A lot of people would run their vehicles on empty just because they couldn't afford it. So we did see a lot of gas issues, but any one of those particular issues with your vehicle, then a record driver, we have 15 vendors and some subcontractors that respond to the scenes, and they will tow you from the freeway to the next exit. If it's a little bit further than a mile, but up to a mile to the next exit, so that you can safely get some gas at a gas station, or if it is a flat tire issue and you have a spare, a good spare, they don't want to put a bad spare on there, a good spare, and you also have the tools so that we can remove, the record driver can remove the tire and the jack, then they also, as part of the service, will change your flat tire. Right now, it's primarily the Houston, Harris County area. It does also includes Jersey Village, Bel Air, and I think they're going to be trying to push out to the Baytown area, but that's in a few months. How do we recognize? Oh, I guess I should be pushing these. Sorry. How do we find out where these vehicles are? Well, of course, you can call in, and I've also brought a tow and go form, and it does have the phone number, so there's plenty of them. Please pick them up, put them in your car, give them to a loved one. The phone number's on there. You just call the number when you're stranded, and they will dispatch a wrecker to your scene. He will provide you with motorist bill guidelines, shows you all your rights, explain the program, and like I said, you don't need to be getting out of your vehicle. That's what causes a lot of the secondary accidents. You know, flat tire, I think we all know what that feels like. So to get out and inspect it just to make sure it's flat, it really opens yourself up to being injured or causing a secondary accident. And I don't think none of us want that. But a tow and go record driver is identified. We all have, all record drivers have to have licenses around their neck. But the tow and go, I think you saw on the previous slide, it actually says tow and go on their license. Also, you will see probably a tow and go emblem on the back as a sticker. So they're well identified. Like I said, we've been doing this since 2018, 15 vendors. They all went through special training, so they know what to do and how to get you off the freeway quickly and safely. Some of the problems that we run into where we see there's an extended period of time is not everybody knows about the program, and some of the questions are, how can this be free? And so that's what the motorist guidelines shows you, and then the knowledge of the record driver to provide you that information. And why they want to do it is because they get funding, again, from us. We pay them. And believe it or not, we have anywhere from 2,400 to 2,600 free tows that they perform in the city per month, and that's a lot. So we know the program's working, but doing these outreaches is where we also get the information so that the program can perform even higher. Because the money's there, so we might as well use it. Again, the reason, watch this video.
In traffic, then one day your car breaks down on the freeway, and now you're the problem. Even worse, being stopped puts you and others in danger. When you have a flat tire, run out of gas, or experience some other mechanical failure, help is just a call away. The new Gulf Coast Regional Tow and Go program clears freeway breakdowns and moves them to a safe location at no cost. Quick clearance programs like Tow and Go reduce secondary incidents, keep traffic moving, and most importantly, save lives. Transportation authorities monitor freeways in the Tow and Go service area 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, making the no-cost towing service available to you day or night. All you have to do to keep help at your fingertips is enter the Tow and Go number in your mobile phone. Or better yet, go to towandgo.com to bookmark the page. Every dispatch of a tow and go operator is authorized by law enforcement who view reported breakdowns in real time from their location in the Houston TranStar Traffic Center. Each of the program's specially contracted tow operators have not only met strict selection standards, they have completed hours of roadway safety and traffic incident management training. Once loaded, Tow and Go will move you and your vehicle from the freeway to a safe location off the nearest exit of your breakdown. If you belong to an auto club or have towing through insurance, that service must arrive before Tow and Go is authorized. Otherwise, have them meet you where you've been towed. Keeping you safe, keeping our freeways clear. Tow and Go, keeping motorists on the move.
The video brings up a good point. You know, a lot of times we see that the the motorist tells the record driver, "I've got AAA coming. I don't need you," and that's fine. But why not go ahead and let the record driver go ahead and get you off the freeway, and then you just update your location with your AAA provider? Okay, that way everybody is safely off the freeway, you know, when they come. But again, this is what the lieutenant was speaking of, the number of fatalities. Again, this program is to save lives. It is also to reduce, you know, traffic congestion, and that is a benefit of it, but it is to save lives. And that's why I was talking about the old Safe Clear program, and they will change your tire. And this is what the motorist guidelines looks like. So it provides you all the information to include the number. Now, one of the things is that once you get to a gas station, or to a parking lot, and you say, "This is all fine and dandy, but I have a bigger issue that needs to be addressed," and you want to change your mind, and you do want to go ahead and go home or to your, your auto repair facility, it would be the full price rated tow amount, which is $207.50. So just know that, you know, you can negotiate that on the scene. But like I said, this is an option if you just say, "I need gas," or "I just need to get my tire changed." And this is the emblem for the Tow and Go. And we already talked about that. All right. And like I said, where you can find more information, there's these cards that, like I said, have the number on the back. Take one, also share it with your friends, but there's also a Tow and Go website that will provide you with some information as well. All right, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Josh Scheidler. I am the Public Information Officer for Houston TranStar, which you've heard about a couple of times this evening. TranStar, if you don't know, is the Southeast Texas region's transportation management and emergency management facility. I want to begin tonight by thanking the Houston Police Department, Chief, you and your team for all of the incredible work that you guys do every single day for the city and really for this region. And thank you for the invitation to participate. TranStar is very glad to be here tonight. For those of you who have not heard of TranStar before, you've very likely seen us and not realized it, either by watching one of the many press conferences that take place in our first floor lobby featuring Mayor Turner or Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo, or you've seen us on the local news, watching your favorite news station in the morning before your morning commute, or catching the evening news. You'll see the traffic reporter that you like show real-time roadway cameras, kind of show you what's happening on the roads. That's them keying into the Houston TranStar CCTV, or closed circuit television camera network. So you've likely seen us and perhaps not realized it. But we are actually a partnership. Houston TranStar is a consortium. We're made up of representatives from the City of Houston, Harris County, TxDOT, or the Department of Transportation, and Metro, the Transit Authority of Harris County. We value partnerships, and together we serve the public. We've been around since 1993, and we've been serving the public ever since, offering real-time traffic information on our website, houstontranstar.org, and also on our mobile application. It's a free mobile app for your iPhone or Android devices. It's also a good way to contact the Tow and Go program. It's a free download, and we've got a tow button on that app, and if you break down on the roadway, you can click that button and it connects you with our dispatchers in our control room. So a good way to also get in touch with the program. But when we're not doing transportation, which is always, we are preparing for and responding to emergency situations that our region is facing, be it natural or man-made disasters. But tonight, I'm here to talk with you briefly about TranStar's new driver safety program and campaign called It's Only a White Line, which really fits right in line with and supports all the great information you've heard this evening from the Houston Police Department. Whether we know it or not, we as drivers take life-threatening chances on highways every day. When drivers stop on a freeway and get out of the vehicle, only a thin white paint stripe separates us from fast-moving traffic. And this action puts lives at risk, not only our lives, but lives of other drivers and other travelers. So educating folks about the dangers of leaving your car on a freeway and how to get help after experiencing car trouble can save lives. And so that's something we're eager to do and passionate about doing. So as this graphic sort of shows, we don't want you to get hurt, end up in a hospital. Keeping residents informed of traffic conditions and keeping life safe is what we are all about. We want people to get from point A to point B safely and efficiently, so we work hard to keep roadways clear, clearing incidents as quickly and efficiently as possible, and working to keep folks moving. So this, neat little graphic there, or graphic animation. This slide is really just a simple screen grab or screenshot that I captured for use on our social media platforms, but it shows what we are seeing on roadways through TransStar's CCTV cameras, which I mentioned, one of 1,000+ cameras along the roadways. This here is an everyday occurrence. We see this all the time. We've got folks who staff our traffic management center, and we are watching the cameras every single minute of every single day. And every day we see somebody break down, run out of gas, flat tire situation. And oftentimes they maneuver their car and get over to the road shoulder, right? Not a great place to be. Now, admittedly, it's a safer place to be than a moving lane of traffic, but it's still not a safe spot to be in. What happens every day, we see folks get a flat tire and get over to that road shoulder, and then they get out of that car. And we're watching them. We're seeing it on our camera system, right? Because you want to see what's wrong. You want to see what happened to your vehicle if it's a flat tire, see if you can change it. But there is no safe space for a pedestrian on a freeway. And I'm going to say that one more time because it's that important. There is no safe space or place for a pedestrian on a freeway. And when you get out of that car on a freeway system, you become a pedestrian on a freeway. All it takes, every single one of us has a phone, and a smartphone more likely. And we've got apps on here, and banking, and texting, and phone, and music, and it is quite distracting. All it takes is for a distracted driver to veer ever so slightly out of that lane that they're traveling in and smack the back of a disabled vehicle. And then we go from a simple run out of gas situation or flat tire situation to a fatality or multiple fatalities. And this is the type of thing we are working to prevent. Secondary crashes, roadway fatalities that are preventable. So that is what the It's Only a White Line campaign is about. We are building a new website in English and Spanish that we are about to unveil here in the next couple of weeks. So we're excited about that. You will see us in the community talking about this program. But for tonight, it would warm my heart if you go home and talk to your loved ones about what you've learned today and mention to them that roadway striping, that paint stripe, it gives people a false sense of security, but really it's not a safe space to be. So when possible, get that car off the freeway, get to a safe space, take advantage of this Gulf Coast Regional Tow and Go program. They're doing somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 no-cost tows a month right now. It's a great program that we have available, and it's at your fingertips. So with that, thank you for your time. Wanted to quickly introduce you to that, and I'm sure the team will take questions now. Thanks, everybody.
I'm going to list North, South Central, Southwest, and North Belt to say thank you. If you will put your hands together for the food this evening. And also, in the back, we have Connie, Mary Ann. They're raising their hands, but you can't see them unless you turn around. And Ben and Sylvia, they are the board members, and they usually are in the kitchen and helping to serve the food. So thank them also, please. And I believe that we are about ready to finish up here. And on behalf of the citywide board, the divisional PIP officers, the entire command staff, we would like to say thank you to all PIP members who have been involved in their neighborhoods and this program. And it is the goal of 2 words, crime prevention. If you have the time, please do get involved. If you don't have the time, make the time. It's your neighborhood and it's your city. And we'll see you in May and also July. We want you to take care getting home, and please be very safe. And don't walk on the freeway. Thank you for coming.